All right, brother, welcome back. This is part 2 of what to do if you've recently been separated or dumped. Last week, we laid out how to handle no contact, what to put on your calendar, and the importance of reaching out for support. These methods are designed to kickstart your healing process and ultimately avoid prolonged periods of depression and anxiety. If you're doing them right, you should be feeling internal resistance. Yeah, you heard me right. Internal resistance. Heartbreak will make it so that you don't want to do anything productive, and it basically puts you in low power mode. Your body and brain are most likely fighting you every step of the way. Your body's probably saying, "No, dude, I'm exhausted and in pain, just lay on the couch." And your brain is probably telling you to numb yourself with distractions. All the while, you know that you need to be taking action, but you just don't know how to win those battles. And today's episode is the fix for that. So when it comes to taking action, dopamine comes into play. Dopamine is the motivation chemical. Heartbreak leads to a massive dopamine crash, and it can make even the simplest of tasks require a ton of effort. And brother, please don't be mad at yourself for not having motivation right now. It's totally normal and actually to be expected for this stage. And if anything, you should feel good about at least trying to make those first steps. It's difficult, I know. It's more difficult than giving in to distractions. That requires no effort, but the long-term ramifications make your future difficult. Guys who just give in, never move on, they never let go, and they never realize how badass they can truly make their life, no matter how much time has passed. You are on the right path, brother. This first concept has to do with taking action even though your dopamine is at an all-time low. Instead of waiting to feel better or waiting for motivation to arrive, you can reverse engineer it. You can take action to reignite your dopamine circuits and thus your motivation. It's kind of like push starting a car. In psychology, it's called behavioral activation. It's based on the idea that if a person is feeling unmotivated or depressed or even anxious, they can take action first to create their own motivation as a result. In studies, most participants saw lower levels of depression and anxiety with behavioral activation. Let's put this into an analogy. Imagine that you're standing in a field. In front of you is a huge round boulder, and it's a little taller than you are. You decide, I am going to push this boulder across the field. So you go up to it and you give it a few quick shoves, but it doesn't move. And you think, well, this would be a lot easier if the boulder was already moving on its own, but you've already promised yourself that you would push it across the field. Have to at least try. So you roll up your sleeves, press your upper body up against it, plant your feet and push with everything you've got. After a few seconds, nothing happens. As you start to think, damn, maybe I'm not strong enough. But then you feel it start to move. And you think, oh wow, it's working. The boulder starts to roll. You start to lose grip, so you quickly move your hands back down, take another step forward, and keep pushing. Now it's rolling at a slow pace. You make more steps, the boulder picks up speed. Your steps eventually turn into a run. You straighten up your body, giving it easier pushes with your hands. Now the initial strain is done. Look at you now. You're running right behind it, just giving it quick pushes to keep it going. And you finally get it all the way across the field, stop and throw your hands into the air. You did it. And then you bend over hands on knees to catch your breath, but when you look up, the boulder is gone. Off in the distance, it's still rolling. That boulder is your motivation right now. It's your motivation for your new schedule and action steps. The boulder wasn't there before this dopamine crash when doing even basic everyday things was a breeze. Waiting to feel motivated in this stage that you're in right now is like waiting for the boulder to gain momentum on its own. So what is the lesson? Motivation is momentum initiated by one thing: you. Internal resistance. The resistance is the weight of the boulder. But every action you take and every completion of even the simplest of goals right now is one more pound of pressure that you're putting on that boulder. You know, we get so used to having motivation to challenge ourselves in school, career, fitness, and basically every facet of life that has its challenges. Yeah, even a challenging video game. But that's when dopamine and motivation are readily available, when life is going along just fine. But heartbreak drains all of that right away. This is where people get stuck. They don't know what to do when that happens. Motivation is momentum. Reverse engineer your motivation. When it comes to each action, those first steps are all you need. The first 10% of anything is always the hardest. The first few steps out of bed in the morning, turning on the stove to cook something nutritious, even just putting on those few action steps on your calendar from part 1. These are all things that are supposed to be challenging for you right now, but that's the whole point of this podcast. When life throws us bullshit and it screws up important aspects of our life, we challenge ourselves out of it. Those challenges build muscle, so when your life gets back on track, you have the strength to accomplish bigger and better goals, and thus you get a badass comeback that goes on for the rest of your life. So I'm going to run through some common roadblocks that you're probably experiencing and the mindsets that are going to help you get through them. Here we go. Exercise. You don't feel like going to the gym or going on that run, etc. All you have to do is throw on your exercise clothes, lace up those shoes, grab your keys, walk out the door and into your car or onto your route. I guarantee that you won't turn back. Next one. Feeling like breaking no contact. All you got to do is put the phone down for 10 minutes. And then for another 10 minutes. And only pick up your phone when the urge to contact her is gone. A good thing that you can add to putting your phone down is just to immediately go do something else for 10 minutes. Dishes, start your laundry, wipe down your bathroom sink, grab a healthy snack. And when you're done, self-evaluate. Is the urge to talk to her still there? If it is, keep going on that thing or go do something else. And if you're in bed, put your phone down across the room and grab a book or do some slow breathing exercises. Next, don't feel like reaching out and talking to anyone. You don't have to commit to a long conversation, and you certainly don't have to talk about anything that you don't want to. Check in with a friend or family member, real quick. Hey, how's it going? What are you up to this weekend? How was your fishing trip? Super easy, no commitment, and even you sending that text will break the low dopamine cycle. Next one. I don't feel like doing this part of my routine. All you need to do is 2 minutes. Just do 2 minutes and pause. If any part of you feels like doing another 2 minutes, do it. And so on. Write one sentence in your journal. Grab some of those baby carrots and munch on them. Put one thing on your calendar for next week. If any part of you feels like doing more, just do it. The likelihood of you completing a task after just starting the first 2 minutes of it goes up substantially. Last one, and this is a big one. If you look in the mirror and don't like what you see, stand up straight, chin up, shoulders back, chest out, strong but relaxed stance. Watch yourself breathe. Envision that warrior looking back at you. What does his body look like? What sort of armor is he wearing? What kind of weapon is he wielding, if any? Does he have a shield? What color is it? What sorts of engravings are on it? Maybe a crest? Get detailed. And what's the point of this? We're talking about doing the first 10%. You are in the most difficult stage of your badass comeback. You're pushing with all of your might and that boulder is barely moving. But you are winning. Winning how? You have to get the boulder across the field. That's not the battle right now. The battle you're winning is you just pushing against that SOB. Not trying is losing. You're winning the battle. Every single bad choice you're resisting and every positive action that you're doing instead is moving that boulder. Yes, even your decision to eat grapes instead of chocolate. Your decision to turn off the TV and go touch grass. Putting that phone down and sweeping the floor in one room. Every single thing that you're doing is gaining you momentum and turning you into that warrior in the mirror, little by little. Envisioning that warrior is going to keep your eyes on the prize. So if you want to get to the point where you're absolutely stoked to go to the gym, junk food grosses you out, thinking of texting her makes you laugh and shake your head, all you need is a little more pushing. And it actually takes a lot less time than you think. You just have to be as consistent as possible. But if you slip, don't be ashamed. Here's how to look at it. Don't fail twice. If you slip, catch yourself. The failure to execute your action is not the end of the world. It's really easy to forget that you're incorporating this brand new method of motivating yourself with momentum. For a lot of guys in this post-breakup or separation phase, the failure to execute is the start of giving up. If they decide to skip the workout, the likelihood of giving up on the entire workout routine goes up substantially. Same with reaching out and anything else that we talked about in part 1. Why? Because it feels good to not put in the effort. It's easy. Procrastination. It's like eating junk food and binging TV instead of doing whatever productive thing it is that you plan to do. Once your brain feels that superficial pleasure of deciding to not do something difficult, it gets addicted to it. It's kind of like if you found out that school is canceled for a snow day. Now you'd be itching for a blizzard to roll through and cancel school again. And remember that your brain always wants you to be safe, and it has this false programming that if you sit at home and be lazy and you're comfortable, you're being safe. This is part of that internal resistance I was talking about earlier. You know you need to work out or read or whatever is next on your calendar. Your brain starts giving you easy, comfortable alternatives with clever excuses, and now you're debating what to do. So what's the problem? Failure to execute. Maybe you made an excuse. Maybe you had a legitimate reason. What's the solution? Don't fail twice. If you slip, don't just give up and let yourself slide down the mountain. If you slip, catch yourself. Maybe you lost 1 foot of travel up that mountain. It's a whole lot better than losing 2 feet, then 3, 5, 10 feet, etc. And here's the reality we have to be ready for. The failure to execute is part of the process. It's to be expected every once in a while when you're trudging through the mud, trying to shift your mind away from the past, learning to create momentum all at once. It's just part of your badass comeback process. So, how do we avoid the second failure? Figure out what the catalyst was to you deciding to do something comfortable instead of taking action on that specific thing. Then, focus on changing your mindset for that catalyst. A really common one is in the beginning of a brand new exercise routine. What happens when you exercise for a few days after you haven't for a long time? You get sore, and you might be a little extra tired than usual too. You might decide, I'll take a day off. I'm sore. So you take a day off, but then later that night, you remember, oh shit, the BCP told me that I have a high chance of giving up on working out altogether. Now I have to go tomorrow. But what if I'm still sore? You might be, but check this out. When you give yourself an excuse, like being sore, you are boxing yourself into inaction. Start thinking outside the box. What would happen if you just worked out anyway? What would happen if you worked out a different muscle group? If you're a runner and your legs are sore, what if you did some push-ups and sit-ups instead? When you're in that moment of slipping into comfort when you should be taking action, you already know the reason or excuse you're using to not do it. Start thinking of reasons to do it. Find a way around your excuse. And brother, I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect you to never slip or take a day off. Even the most badass MFers on the planet slip up every once in a while. But remember that what you're doing to recover quickly and make an awesome comeback is way harder than just sitting around waiting for time to pass. You're not going back to an average life. You are creating a badass one. You get to keep the people and things that you love and toss the rest. But old average habits are going to keep you average. Making excuses is what average and below average people do all the freaking time. But a lot of what I teach here is to reprogram your brain to want to challenge yourself and become allergic to excuses. And I already know that you've had this experience of challenging yourself, questioning whether it's worth it, and then you triumph and feel awesome when you finally complete that challenge and you see the rewards. Kind of like studying all week for a test and then getting a better grade than you expected. Even spending hours fighting a final boss in a video game. You've already experienced that in your life. Your badass comeback is built on a bunch of new challenges that reward you with that confidence over and over and over again. Stacking wins. Right now is the best time to train yourself for success. It's basically boot camp, except you get to schedule your relaxed time and sleep in your own bed at night. Challenging yourself when you're at this low point builds resilience like you wouldn't believe. When life makes you feel like shit, challenge yourself. You'll bounce back way faster and way better than you ever were before. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up part 2. Remember that if you find yourself making excuses or skipping an action step, don't let it get to you. Figure out what went sideways and make corrective action. The first 10% of anything is always the hardest, so put in those first few steps to build momentum for each task. The motivation to finish will follow. And of course, your overall motivation to keep ramping up your comeback will as well. You are built for this. All right, I'm leaving you guys with a quote from Thomas Edison. Quote, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." See you guys next week. Thank you for joining me in another badass episode, brother. If you want to accelerate into this new chapter in your life and get a boost into your badass journey, sign up for a free 45-minute consultation for post, breakup, or divorce coaching. All the info is in the episode description. Also, please remember to like and comment. And if you know anyone who could use this info in their badass journey, please share this episode with them. None of this will be possible without you guys, so thank you again, and I will see you in the next episode.